You are working harder than anyone in the room. They can see it. They know it. And somehow, they are still ahead of you. You send the updates. You share the progress. You explain the process. You make sure everyone knows exactly how much you are putting in. And still, the promotion goes to someone else. The respect goes to someone else. The power goes to someone else. You think showing your effort proves your value? It does not. It proves your desperation. Every single time you announce what you're doing, you hand them a map to where you're going. Every time you explain your struggle, you tell them exactly where you are weak. And every time you ask for recognition before you have won, you give them permission to decide whether you deserve it. You are bleeding in public and calling it honesty. This is not a flaw in the system. This is the system working exactly as designed. And if no one ever taught you this, it is because they needed you not to know. You were raised to believe that hard work should be visible, that good people show their effort, that transparency builds trust. These are beautiful ideas, and in the wrong rooms, they will destroy you. The people who are winning are not working harder than you. They are simply showing less. While you explained your plan, they were already executing theirs in silence. While you were posting your process, they were building the outcome. While you were asking for validation at every single step, they were waiting to become undeniable. You were taught to be transparent because transparent people are easier to manage, easier to predict, easier to stop. When you show your work before it is finished, they see your gaps, they see your doubts, they see your timeline. They know exactly when you will be ready, and they will be ready one step before you. This is not conspiracy. This is psychology. Human beings do not reward effort. They reward outcomes that feel effortless. We are wired to associate mystery with power and openness with neediness. The man who never explains what he is doing makes people assume it must be extraordinary. The man who narrates every step makes people wonder why he needs an audience at all. You are not failing because you are not working hard enough. You are failing because you are working loudly. Stop blaming yourself. Start changing your strategy. 500 years ago, a man wrote a book so dangerous that the church wanted it burned and rulers wanted him silenced. His name was Niccolo Machiavelli, diplomat, strategist, the only philosopher in history who refused to tell you what you wanted to hear. He did not write about how men should behave. He wrote about how they actually do. While other philosophers built theories, Machiavelli watched princes rise, watched them fall, and recorded every pattern with cold surgical precision. And the one pattern he saw, above all others, the one that separated the men who survived from the men who were destroyed, this was not intelligence. It was not loyalty. It was not even strength. It was unreadability. The men who could not be mapped could not be stopped. Machiavelli wrote, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by strategy. Force is loud. Force is visible. Force can be tracked, predicted, and countered before it arrives. Strategy is quiet. Strategy works in the dark. Strategy arrives already finished." What Machiavelli understood, and what they never wanted you to understand, is that the loudest man in the room is never the most powerful man in the room. Lesson 1, visibility is vulnerability. Every time you show your process, you expose your position. And in any competitive environment, your position is the one thing you cannot afford to give away for free. Think about the last time you told someone about a goal before you achieved it. What happened? Either they discouraged you, or they watched you fail, or worse, they got there first. This happens because human beings are competitive by nature. When you announce an intention, you activate the competitive instinct in everyone around you. They do not even do it consciously. They just start moving faster, applying for the same role, pitching the same idea, running the same play, because you gave them the direction to follow. Starting today, close the update, finish the thing. Let the result be the announcement. Let them be surprised by the arrival, not warned by the journey. Drop this in the comments right now. My work speaks, I don't. Lesson 2. Effort without mystery is just performance. There is a critical difference between working hard and performing hard work. One builds power, the other burns it. You know someone like this. Always busy, always in meetings, always sending messages at midnight, always making sure you know how much they are sacrificing. And somehow, they never seem to produce anything that actually moves the needle. They have confused the signal for the substance. They are performing effort for an audience instead of building results in the dark, where no one can interfere. The psychology behind this runs deep. When you were young, you learned that showing effort earned praise. The work did not have to be finished. It just had to be visible. That pattern followed you into adulthood, and it is costing you real power every single day. The practical shift is simple but ruthless. Stop measuring your day by how visible your effort was. Measure it only by what you actually completed, full stop. Because no one who ever changed their life did it by updating people on the process. They changed it by finishing. This knowledge is for protection, not destruction. Lesson 3. The quiet man controls the room. Watch what happens in any group when one person says nothing. The room fills that silence for them. People start wondering, projecting, speculating, and they almost always overestimate. Silence is not passivity. Silence is strategic pressure. It forces other people to reveal their position while yours remains completely hidden. While every other man in the room narrates his journey. The man who says nothing becomes the subject of everyone else's speculation, and speculation always overestimates the man it cannot read. In a meeting, in a negotiation, in a relationship, in a competition, the man who controls the information controls the dynamic. And the most powerful piece of information you can control is your own next move. Say less, do more. Let them fill the silence with their own imagination, because their imagination will always build you bigger than you would build yourself. Drop this in the comments. I build in silence, I win in public. Lesson 4. Your process is your power. Guard it. The reason elite athletes, top executives, and strategic thinkers never publicly detail how they operate is not arrogance. It is architecture. It is the deliberate protection of the one thing that makes them difficult to replicate. Your process, your specific method, is proprietary. The moment you share it openly, it can be copied, refined, and used against you by someone with more resources and less hesitation. Think about a time you shared exactly how you did something well. Within weeks, someone else was doing it, getting the credit, getting the reward, using the shortcut you handed them for free. The psychology is simple and brutal. People are pattern recognition machines. Give them your pattern, and they will replicate it faster than you can evolve it. Keep your method private. Let your results be the only evidence anyone ever sees. Let them wonder how you did it. Because a man they cannot reverse engineer is a man they cannot replace. Drop this in the comments. They watched. Now they wonder. Lesson 5. They don't reward effort, they reward surprise. The moment that changes a career, a reputation, a life, is almost never the result of accumulated visible effort. It is the result of a sudden, undeniable arrival, an outcome that no one saw coming. When you show your progress in real time, you train people to expect the result gradually. You remove the power of arrival. You dilute the impact before it lands. But when you go quiet, stop updating, stop explaining, stop checking in, and then appear with something finished and undeniable, everything changes. They do not just respect the result. They respect the mystery behind it. They wonder what else you are capable of that they cannot see. They start to believe you operate on a level they do not have access to. And that belief is more powerful than any title you could ever be given. Starting today, stop narrating the journey. Let them be surprised by the destination. Drop this in the comments. I am the destination, not the pursuit. Lesson 6. Silence about your work is a strategic weapon. When you speak less about what you are building, you accomplish 3 things simultaneously, and most people never realize any of them. First, you conserve energy. Explaining, updating, and justifying consumes mental bandwidth that could have gone toward the actual work. Second, you maintain optionality. An unannounced plan can be changed, pivoted, or abandoned without public failure. You stay flexible. You stay dangerous. Third, you become impossible to counter. Nobody can prepare for what they cannot see coming. Nobody can block a move they do not know is in motion. Machiavelli watched princes fall because they revealed their strategy to the wrong men in the wrong rooms. The prince who speaks his plan gives his enemies the time to write the counter. The prince who moves in darkness arrives before anyone realizes he was moving at all. This is not about deception. It is about the strategic management of information in a world where information is the most valuable weapon in circulation. Guard yours ruthlessly, quietly, permanently. Drop this in the comments. The less I explain, the more they respect. There is a version of you that has been explaining himself his entire life, justifying his choices to people who had already made up their minds, narrating his effort to people who were going to take the reward anyway, asking for permission to be taken seriously from people who needed him not to be. That version kept losing. And now, right now in this moment, you know exactly why. The old you is dead, not wounded, not evolving, dead, gone. He was a man who built in public and lost in private. And he does not exist in your story anymore. What exists now is something different, something quieter, something that the people around you are going to start noticing. Not because you announced it, but because it will simply become undeniable. You are a weapon, pointed at your own future, and weapons do not announce themselves. They do not ask for applause during the loading. They do not send updates mid-flight. They simply arrive. They simply impact. And by the time anyone realizes what happened, it is already done. You belong to no one, not to their expectations of how a man like you should behave, not to their timeline for when a man like you should succeed, not to their need to watch you struggle so they can decide whether you deserve to win. You move on your own schedule, in your own direction, toward a version of yourself they have not been given the privilege of predicting. The silence you choose from this point forward is not emptiness. It is architecture. It is the deliberate construction of something they will not see until it is already finished, already powerful, already beyond their ability to stop. Build in the dark, win in the light. Let the result speak at a volume your words never could. This is what Machiavelli understood 500 years ago. This is what the men at the top have always understood. And this is what you understand now. The game has not changed. You have. If this video found you at the right moment, that was not an accident. Subscribe, but only if you are done explaining yourself to rooms that were never going to reward you anyway. Only if you are ready to operate on a different level. This channel goes deeper every single week. Machiavelli, Nietzsche, Green, the philosophers they told you were dangerous, are dangerous to the people who need you predictable, manageable, and loud. Every video is another layer of what you were never meant to find out. You found this one. There are more waiting. Before you leave, answer this in the comments and think about it honestly. What is the one thing you have been showing people that you should have been guarding in silence?